This is RTV6 News at 6, working for you.
It has helped us look at the inequities that have been going on right in our midst.
Racial inequity in education, how one of the largest school districts in the state is addressing this issue come fall.
Another deadly weekend in Indianapolis. Community leaders are now coming together. Their plan to help stop the violence.
The IRS is warning about an uptick in scams. I'm Call 6 Investigates Kara Kenny. We'll tell you what to look out for and hint it's not coming in the form of a phone call.
And good evening to you here at 6 o'clock on this Monday. I'm Mark Mullins in my home studio.
And I'm Amanda Starantino at the WRTV studios. First at 6, we've dealt with isolated downpours today, but more could be on the way later tonight. It is the Storm Team 6 alert day. So we begin with Chief Meteorologist Kevin Gregory.
And Amanda, I do expect thunderstorm coverage and intensity to expand between now and 11 o'clock tonight from basically southwest to northeast. Some of these thunderstorms may be severe. Damaging wind would be the main threat. They would all, due to the very high humidity, include some heavy rainfall. There's the green of the marginal risk or low risk for severe storms. The bullseye or better chance for thunderstorms with wind damage, central Illinois into northwest Indiana. And again, we could have some hail with the strong winds. You've got three lines of storms, one in western Illinois, the other central, and then another forming in southeast portions of the land of Lincoln. All this lifting to the north and east, increasing our chance for thunderstorms. We're at the top of the scale as far as the humidity is concerned. That's part of the fuel for the thunderstorms. 84 in Indy, 89 in Lafayette and Terre Haute. Between now and 11, there's the expansion of the thunderstorms. We'll talk more about that, what to expect through the overnight and the changes later in the week.
We in IPS know that we can't do this alone, so it is open to everyone. We want to hear everyone's voice.
Racism has been a major concern when it comes to policing, but Central Indiana's largest school district says there is racial inequity when it comes to education. RTV6's Stephanie Wade finds out what IPS is doing to stand up for its students.
We've been discussing this even before this horrible George Floyd incident.
Indianapolis Public Schools says they've been working on anti-racism efforts for years, starting back in 2015, requiring all of its teachers, staff, bus drivers, even food service employees undergo a 2-day racial inequity training.
Where they learn about systemic racism, where they learn about how it runs through everything, education, health, housing.
A district where more than 70% of its students are black and brown. The IPS Racial Equity Office Director says addressing racial disparities is their top priority.
It's the same group of children that are always at the bottom. You got to start asking questions about why this happens.
Through study groups, working with principals, and establishing equity teams within each school,
we help teachers start examining their belief system, that we aren't just talking about white teachers either. We're talking about all teachers, because racism can be internalized by black and brown people.
Many not even realizing racial biases may be blocking their ability to see the brilliance and potential in students.
If that student's skin color is black or brown, automatically, in way too many cases, your expectations sink to the ground.
Come fall, IPS tells me they're hoping to involve students in this training after trying it last summer with a small group of seniors for the first time.
We want to hear more from the students on their experiences that they've gone through this COVID-19. We want to hear from them. We think that they should be having the same kind of racism training that our teachers are getting.
Stephanie Wade, RTV6.
Well, also finding out through COVID-19, the gaps are not just in the classroom, but also at home. IPS sent laptops to all of its high school and middle school students, taking credit-bearing courses. The district is also holding a series of virtual community town halls discussing race both in and outside of the classroom. Their next virtual conversation is this Thursday from 12:30 to 1:30 p.m. You can go to the IPS website to register.
New developments. An independent committee will study the Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department's response to the protests, which took place in late May and early June. That is according to Mayor Joe Hogsett. The committee will review officers' adherence to current policies and provide recommendations for potential changes. The committee will be independent from the City of Indianapolis, and IMPD has pledged transparency. The results are expected by the end of 2020. And the Response Review Committee will be made up of 3 people. They are Deborah J. Daniels, a former U.S. Attorney and U.S. Assistant Attorney General, Myra C. Selby, who is a former Associate Justice of the Indiana Supreme Court. She chairs the court's Commission on Race and Gender Fairness, and Dr. Sean L. Huddleston, the president of Martin University.
The FBI is now investigating the discovery of a noose found in the garage stall of NASCAR driver Bubba Wallace at Talladega Superspeedway in Alabama. Wallace is the only full-time driver in the NASCAR Cup Series who is black. 2 weeks ago, he successfully pushed the racing league to ban the Confederate flag at its venues. Along with the FBI, NASCAR is also investigating to find the person responsible for leaving the noose in Wallace's garage stall. And take a look at this. Today, NASCAR drivers and team members walked alongside Bubba Wallace's car, showing support and solidarity before today's Geico 500 race at Talladega. And Wallace tweeted this selfie with one word: together. This race was supposed to be yesterday, but was rained out and postponed until today. Much more about this developing story coming up tonight on ABC World News with David Muir at 6:30.
Several community leaders are coming together today after another violent weekend in Indianapolis. IMPD is investigating 2 more homicides and several other shootings. Last week, we told you the city is on pace to have a record-breaking year when it comes to the number of homicides. So now faith leaders are stepping up to try and stop that from happening. RTV6's Megan Sanctorum explains how they plan to do it.
Several faith-based leaders say they are fed up with the amount of violence in Indianapolis right now, so they're taking matters into their own hands, and they're working together to create a plan of action. It's scenes like this: the flashing lights, the police tape, and a life lost. And it's a scene that keeps playing out in Indianapolis over and over again.
We're at a crisis. It's a crisis.
Pastor Terry Webster Sr. is one of the faith-based leaders working for change. He says this is a topic that hits close to home.
I, too, have lost 2 family members to violence years ago, and it's traumatizing.
So now he and several others are trying to figure out what else community groups and churches can do.
No amount of legislation by itself can fix it. It's going to take all of us to fix it. Family, it's going to take parents working together with communities, young parents, middle-aged parents. It's going to take all of us to stem this tide.
But they're also coming up with recommendations for city leaders. They plan to release those next week. A spokesperson for the mayor's office said they were not aware of the meeting today, but said the city plans to spend about $4 million on neighborhood-level resources, violence prevention grants, and investments in traditional public safety operations this year. Still, some say with homicide numbers where they are, there's more work to be done.
That's a tipping point. That's a hurting point. That's a emergency stress line.
So he's hoping these meetings and recommendations help prevent more scenes like this. Working for you, Megan Sanctorum, RTV6.
IMPD's Chief Taylor released a statement saying the Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department has always been open to the assistance of our neighborhood community leaders. As we move forward, we continue to work with local clergy and community members to identify problems and ways we can address them. Their input and assistance is always appreciated. We all need to work together, sharing information to keep our community safe, end quote.
New numbers out today provide another snapshot of how COVID-19 is impacting Indiana. The State Department of Health confirms 13 new COVID-19 deaths That's 8 more deaths than were reported yesterday. So far, 2,363 Hoosiers have died from the coronavirus. The Department of Health also reports 277 new cases of the virus. That's actually down from yesterday since the pandemic began. 42,633 people in Indiana have been diagnosed with COVID-19. The state has tested nearly 419,000 people for COVID-19. Just more than 10% of them tested positive for the virus. Numbers from the Department of Health also show that 38% of Indiana's intensive care unit beds are available now. COVID-19 patients are using less than 12% of the state's ICU beds, and non-COVID-19 patients are using 50% of those beds. 81% of Indiana's ventilators are available as well. The IRS says it is seeing an uptick in scams as criminals try to get their hands on your stimulus check. As our Carrigan reports, there are a few things that you need to watch out for to keep your money and personal information safe.
Many people know about the phone scam where the scammers pretend to be from the IRS, but criminals are getting smarter, and unfortunately, Hoosiers are falling for it. At a time when many Hoosiers are waiting for their stimulus money, scammers are trying to get your money. You might have gotten a text, email, or social media message that looks like it's from the IRS. It's about your stimulus check, also known as economic impact payment. But it's not the IRS. When you click that link, you could be allowing scammers to download malware onto your computer, or they could trick you into giving up your social security number or bank account information. The IRS says these types of scams are on the rise.
What we're seeing is an overabundance of criminal activity that's really taking advantage of the fear and the uncertainty that people are feeling now as a result of COVID-19.
Scammers are also sending fake stimulus checks in the mail. The scammers will tell you they sent you too much and ask you to send them the difference. But when the check bounces, you're out of money. We did some checking and found the IRS will not reach out to taxpayers via email, phone, or social media, especially with promises to get people their money faster. IRS communications will come via snail mail. The IRS wants you to report these scams so they can investigate.
We are committed to finding them regardless of where they are. We have partnerships with domestic investigative agencies and overseas law enforcement as well. So there's really no place for them to hide anymore.
If you're not sure about a phone call or email, hang up or delete the message and call the IRS directly at 1-800-919-9835. They recently added 3,500 phone operators to help answer your questions.
We trace the money, we find the perpetrators, and we bring them to justice.
If you've been a victim of one of these scams, you can report it to the National Center for Disaster Fraud Hotline at 1-866-720-5721. We've also included links on how you can report it in this story on our website, WRTV.com, and the RTV6 app. Reporting in Indianapolis, Carrigan, RTV6.
Hiring Hoosiers is our commitment to connect you to employment opportunities, especially as the pandemic continues to create job losses. It's time for the Hiring Hoosiers job feed. Colonial Village Daycare in Zionsville is looking for a preschool teacher who is energetic and nurturing. He will assist children between the ages of 2 and 6 with classroom activities, social and emotional growth, and much more. Carrigan Transport wants to hire Class A CDL shuttle drivers in Richmond, Indiana. Electra Products Agency needs a flatbed driver in Indianapolis. You would make deliveries throughout Indiana. You need a clean driving record with a CDL Class B license. Spectra Premium is looking for a material handler for its Greenfield warehouse. There are a number of duties you would be responsible for. Warehouse experience is preferred but not required. You must have a high school diploma or a GED. You can find details on these on our job board at hiringhoosiers.com. We also have a link to the application process, and check out the Hiring Hoosiers Facebook page. Companies also post open positions there. Covering education, Indiana schools and higher education institutions can now apply for a new grant. It would provide funding to improve remote learning during the COVID-19 pandemic. The $61.6 million grant is provided through the Federal CARES Act. The money would make more digital learning devices available to students, would address gaps in internet connectivity, and would help teachers build expertise in remote learning. The deadline for school districts and universities to apply for a portion of that grant money is Friday, July 17th.
I'm Dave First. The Indy 11 will return to the pitch soon enough. For now, they're inspiring beyond the borders on a world stage. Coming up in the Sports Extra Spotlight.
And perhaps you got caught in the downpour earlier today. There are more thunderstorms on the way tonight. They'll come into the state from the southwest. We'll talk about our increasing chance of thunderstorms and severe weather threat when we come back.
.org. This is RTV6 News at 6, working for you.
And we wait on additional thunderstorms for tonight. More on that in a second. Notice the decreasing chance for rain the next few days. It will come back, though, as we move toward the end of the week and the weekend. And with that, another change in the humidity level. Right now, the humidity is as high as it gets during the next 3 days, tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday. Very comfortable. Then it will come back up, as you can see, as we get to Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Very tropical feel. Definitely need the air conditioning, and you'll notice that change on the way later in the week. With the low humidity, though, temperatures take a nice step back. Instead of being in the upper 80s to around 90, we'll be around 80 degrees, in some cases the upper 70s. Then we ramp it back up as we move toward next weekend. We're in the waiting game right now. We had the morning round and afternoon round of showers and thunderstorms. Not all of you saw that. Now the thunderstorms over in Illinois ahead of a cold front. There's two lines. This line here, intense thunderstorms back in western Illinois. This heavy rainfall continues to move to the north and east, but we're seeing an expansion then of that rain shield as it lifts north and east, and that will increase our chance for thunderstorms this evening. As far as the threat from stronger storms, damaging wind would be the main threat, and as you've already experienced, perhaps with the high humidity, torrential downpours, so you could get some quick street flooding as a result of these thunderstorms. 8 to 11, there are the thunderstorms becoming more numerous and a little more intense with heavy rainfall and some gusty winds. Then overnight, we shift the activity to the south and east. By that point, cold front will be through. We may see some additional rain behind the cold front, but it shouldn't be as intense and the rainfall not as heavy. Temperatures tomorrow noticeably cooler, about 10 degrees cooler in many cases, 79 for the high. Wednesday, low humidity, some sunshine, 78 degrees, something to look forward to there. From north to south, one of our more comfortable days, should be in the low 80s this time of year, and you can see we're missing the mark on the low side right on through the middle of the week. As you look at Thursday, still comfortable, 81 degrees, and then it's just like turning a switch. We're back in the upper 80s on Friday, and the chance for thunderstorms returns. Thunderstorms are likely Saturday. Temperatures close to 90 degrees, very humid again. Still a lingering chance for thunderstorms, very humid as we get to Sunday and Monday. Amanda, Mark?
The MLS and the Indy 11 are working to resume their season. It's expected to come next month. Until then, they are aiming to inspire.
A few of the players have joined a group aimed at getting kids involved in the game. A worldwide challenge to show love of soccer. Sports director Dave First with the Sports Extra Spotlight tonight.
The workouts have returned. The matches will eventually. And for the Indy 11, including Tyler Gibson and Drew Connor, waiting is the hardest part.
Yeah, we just sit and wait and play soccer. I guess that's the difference between us and others, right? It's like some people are still, doing their jobs from home, and we were kind of just practicing in small groups in the beginning, and just recently kind of, opened up into groups of 10.
Until the games return, their uninspiring time has turned into anything but.
This ball has brought me so much joy.
Following the lead of friend and former UConn star Steven Shera, who told the guys some 5 years ago about a program called Around the World, taking the game of soccer to underserved youth on a global scale.
He was talking to me then about he was going to start up this Around the World's program, and we've just kind of stayed in touch ever since.
So with a little extra free time, Tyler sent in his video. Drew sent in his.
Like, it started off as him just kind of telling us, hey, do you want to try and, sit down and juggle and see how many you get, and I'll send it to like all my kids and stuff like that. So it kind of started as just us like helping a friend out. And then all of a sudden we got these videos back from him from kids all over the world. And it was pretty cool to see.
Keep working hard, keep getting touches.
Sure enough, the videos started coming in from everywhere. Senegal, Kenya, Indonesia, Costa Rica. And in a very complicated world, Suddenly, the simple joy of a child and a ball.
In a way, does it remind you when you guys were kids growing up?
It's really cool to see and what a soccer ball can do. Literally just a ball.
And I think when you see a kid just, working on his skills or just having fun with the ball, it can kind of make you think back to when it was to simpler times when it was more about just having fun.
The business of soccer will return soon enough. For now, from Indy to the world, inspiring beyond borders. Dave First, RTV6 Sports.
Welcome back to RTV6 News at 6. It is time for the photo of the day.
Jerry Wilson sent us this excellent picture of his granddaughter Nora, who was out for a walk in a neighborhood on the south side of Indianapolis.
And look at that. Nora has such a great smile, doesn't she? Looks like some of the geese there were enjoying the scenery near the water as well, too.
And Nora's mother, Shanna, actually snapped this photo. Thank you, Jerry, Shanna, and Nora for sharing this picture.
We want to see your photo of the day, so email it to us at news@WRTV.com.
You've got time for a walk this evening. Just be aware that thunderstorm chances are increasing, especially in the western half of the state. Some heavy rainfall, gusty winds with the storms that will develop as they move into the western portion of the state and expand to the east. We'll have more on this at 7 o'clock. Amanda?
Thank you so much for making RTV6 your choice for news. Join us again for the news at 7. We'll see you then.